Shloka kare katu
아
di subdumala
다 니슈 중니데 중니 받래
laso.
어다 도시데가 다 경년 장조 람도 키러와스 다 가르랍 거래 말한소 다 니는 디순도 순다 더친 왕기 노 자기 노 탐제 조금 초도 주나양 루이던은 저 디숨 개와남 젤랑와 결셀라린 세 숭도 아세 디게 가르친 거래 말한소다 기부전적이 랑게니 페사사 칼레게페 노르 루이 노르다 가리지나 아니 직 좀밤 초밤 데디지기나 다 수이나 콘도자 그러와 데 갑달라 다 콘도 자미줘야 그 샘기르고 그래스 삼로도 기르고 그래스 가르잖아 맞아 장주기 샘냐는 루이론저 게자다 제바 젤랑 오고 아래 짐바 땅두가라 짐벤 디불라 마레 버진 땅고 거래 제수 삼로 땅이나
Jimba tanga? Jimba
짐벤
tangdu?
디불라 지루 제바 짐벤 짐바데 디불라 마레 버진 디불라 삼로 마타지네
Oh, laso.
파라는 페야지 마도 나는 디부 롱제 첨부 연구에서 삼로 다바이나 이 짐바 양 다발은 누구 디 루이론저 게자다 제바 땅이나 그미 원인질라 잘라 구마게이나 다 초거이나다 그 원인질 초래 이 야부중선 리송선 삼로치다미나 니바다 사야 매치 통인들라 니 랑게 개와 도룬티 베칼라 수소 개와 사고래 디 펜도두시 삼로두스 땅고 거래스
And so now we're on the 12th verse, and again we're talking about carrying adversity onto the path, bringing difficulties into our practice, onto the path. And so verse 12 reads, "Under the sway of compulsive desire and longing for things that does not possess, some unfortunate person has stolen our riches or lets others rob us and idly stands by. Then out of compassion with no attachment to him we must dedicate all of our prayers. May he have wealth, our body and merits, and the sons of the Buddhas all practice this way." And an alternative translation, "Even if someone out of strong desire steals all of your wealth or has it stolen, dedicate to him your body, possessions, and virtue, past, present, and future. This is the practice of bodhisattvas." So what are we saying when we're, talking about carrying adversity onto the path? We can look at this very verse. We all work so hard, right, to get things, to acquire things, to accomplish things, and to provide ourselves with what we need. And then someone may come along and there could be some difficulty with all of these things that we have worked so hard to get. And so what do we do how do we work with this when somebody comes and takes what we've worked so hard for? Well, we can think about making sure that within our practices, we are not looking to get anything in return. We're really not looking for any kind of fruition for ourselves. If we think about generosity, true authentic generosity is when we give something without the thought of, I'm going to get something in return, I'm going to get something back. If we do give with a mind that thinks, in return then maybe I'll get this, then this is not authentic generosity. And in the same way, if what we have worked so hard for is then stolen, then we can think, good, wonderful, good for them, rather than thinking any negativity about it being gone or them taking it. We can think, okay, good, and what an opportunity to gain actually merit. And you think in this way, to gain merit, we think, may this person, or may they have all of my roots of virtue. I dedicate this and I dedicate all my roots of virtue. And in this way, we actually gain a great merit. It's a meritorious Dharma practice.
What's that? 로정 승임을 낼소가 강화다게 펜다페 레와체와 간시지 저승도 와스 랑게 파 펜도 클랍침부지인데 인증이 아니 즉 강화다게 펜다페 레와체와 간시 신도 미리 내지네 생인담 받다워서 다른 파 펜다페 수 낼랜데 마고 마이바지 마찬바지 저이나 텔라니 생인도 따고 그래 저승도 와스 오늘 전주 세배 냠는 책인지 마도 다 ranjinjin tubu yongji te semle chuya khona 말했어.
semle
다 ranjinjin shu chumbo yondegin지 semle chuya khona 말했어. 파 야보지베 렘보들라 다룬 좀초 소소 견제지 때니 지gin지 아니 생인도 따투야 khona 말했어. ranjinjin shu chumbo yong지라 다 ranjinjin 맨댕에 ranjinjin 견도 따댕에 강사지기 따댕오네 nepa kenginjila eni ngaso zoba gumgore zoba gumna nepa kengemena zoba su kanesu gumgore yenle tene zoba gumtu gumare rangla gyale chekinjil tene zoba gumtu biya yomare chasa phagi nepa kengi susupa phontobe chu be dangbu chekinjila eni zoba gumgore eni ji zobe lobundu tatuya ji ngudو wasi samudو samutang 렌도 마도 타치도 티페 누그레즈데 랍투야 코라미도 시와 타치도 누그레즈네 누자레즈네 가서 내 깽데 누자레즈데 랍투야 말레스
올라서
삼는 단저지가네 내가 깽데 수수 얘기는 자디오래
아니 디 식제디 아니 고츠마서 식제
시게 말이 로전 시게마 강라자게 펜타페 레와체와 간시지 신도 미리 내지는 생긴단 발다 와서 강라다게 펜다베 네 수수파 펜바 야부투 레와지니 야부지 그리스 펜바투 파기 펜바투 산에 파저되기 수 너는 펜베 마투지 너는 너빈 잘이 왔다 펜다도 수배 견제 제야다 배 시구르즈데 배 마삼바 마위바 향지 있는 거지 때는 신경도 따고 그러면서 때는 배 라스니 숭규와 말해서 숭고아.
And so we need to learn to practice giving, even great things, even things, substantial things, without the hope for any return. We need to train in working with when those harm us, not seeking any revenge. There is a quote that speaks to when one that you have served and helped in return doesn't do right by you, but rather harms you, puts you down, and maybe speaks badly about you, then what is it that is needed to be done at that time? At that time, we need to view that person as a teacher. We need to then perceive that person as our own teacher. But if we first can't exchange ourselves for others, then this may be difficult. So the first thing that we need to do is learn to wish happiness, wish for others to have happiness and for us to take their suffering. For example, when someone has harmed us, caused us difficulty, then what we need to do is we need to be patient. We need to learn to be patient with this person. Not only do we need to be patient, we need to be able to look upon them as someone who has helped us, someone as our greatest teacher.
그게 람라 규리야 치고 이 펜보야래 오늘 야보야래 삼루지 야보다나 대저 규정이야래스 맞아 가르잖아 상기기 젠라 판바 냐지 상기 공바데 젠벤 두야마도 젠다 상기 공바야 말해스 다 수소때 먹어지네 tondogen jila tarum pa 어디 야보중 선생 가서 겠다나 띠 상기 공부도 등도 왔어 에는 소소로라 대삼시 세나미 히야당 다 셈라 펜보여레스 띠 야보중 선생은 리자데 가옴다나
So this is really carrying adversity onto the path, like it says in our text. If some unfortunate person has stolen our riches or lets others rob us and idly stands by, so rather than seeing this person as an enemy, we bring it onto the path in the way that this verse advises us. And actually there is a very good reason for reacting in the way that this verse advises. There is a very good reason. Actually, there is not a single Buddha who has obtained Buddhahood that has not done it through the very wish to benefit others. This is exactly the way all of the Buddhas have reached Buddhahood, by the wish to benefit others. And so this is actually a way for us to proceed on our path and to gain the state of Buddhahood for ourselves. And so if this were to happen and somebody stole all of your possessions, stole some possessions, then you think, oh great, how wonderful. And actually this is the way to Buddhahood. When we have this mind of benefit to those who harm us, it's actually a very powerful way to bring it onto the path. So what we need to do, if something like this befalls us, we think, great, perfect, wonderful, and that's all we need to do.
쇼르가 주숨 받에 라올람도 개봐 시도와 라올람 개. 단 라오 시드갈라 라 시드갈라 라나 마가 쟁이 들어와. 소소 소통엔 다 되겠잖아 라세 거와. 타르투나 소통인데 다 니진디나라 라치셔도 차디요. 소통에로 와. 된 라치셔들이 다 개바 준비 취적인지 대 라문진기어 말에.
전 문진기.
다. 개바주미 주주근 된 라랑wen 진왜 거라요 말이스 와 가르잖아 니는 디소다 강라 니파 준세 메진도스 소소견 균메위나 강다 자긴 고체나 니제 왕기 디디파남 달레 바결슬 알린 시디가라 소소 견메지도 소소 고체 소소페 소소를 잡아줘 소정인지나 데라타도 당선 계열에 파 니제 왕기 따테페 디바 잡침바 사바레 니 류센 류왕가바치도 텔리 디바 잡쳐야면 개와 가면 치민 남인데 벨지 치무신 건 거래 아직 간다 삼데 니지도록 계지 된데 삼당고 와레스 대바 좀 체적 건지기 어디 딘다와데 딘데 냠는데 개mel나 요 말에 주로 전달을 텔레캠 가니요. 요 말이 그네. 이년 년은 빼미스바 내 첨보레스.
아니 주숨보텔라. 주니바당 주지. And so then in verse number 13, although we're not guilty of any offense and have never harmed anyone in our life, if someone deluded should threaten to kill us, because he is crazed and with a tormented mind, then mercifully wishing him not to suffer further misfortune because of his state, selflessly take on the effects of his actions. The son of Bodhisattvas all practice in this way. And then a little more succinctly, even if someone tries to cut off your head when you haven't done the slightest thing wrong, out of compassion, take all of his misdeeds upon yourself. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. So up until this point, we've been talking about someone who steals our wealth or harms us like in some kind of a material way. But here we're really talking about somebody who has taken your very life, someone who could, take your life force. And then, taking this that would be considered an enemy, and where many would consider an enemy, taking all their misfortune upon ourselves. This is not something that the practitioners of the lower capacity, like the lower vehicle, the Hinayana vehicle, actually really fits with their view of things. This is not something that they that actually fits within the view of the lower vehicle, that if somebody were to cut off your head or take your very life, that you then wish them well. Rather, not only are you not looking at them as an enemy, you are then turning around and wishing positive things for them. So this is something that is not a practice within the lower vehicle.
Decha Jezang Conto Soda, Drang Mari. The Imbade, Yogandin Druki, a Sharkanim and a Salvaris,
The
Yogandin. Dranana Dupe, Yomon to Selsun race, Tapone Lapcha race. Drang Mari, Sosiki Yomondere.
and the Lama Gitsen
Yogandin,
Yaru.
Yog Kutantangpuri,
Oh.
Jirum Chingolo, Yao Kutantangbo, Gindintu.
Gindindru.
Gindintu, yeah.
So what we need to recognize, actually, what is the real enemy? The real enemy is our own mind. It is our own discursive thoughts, our afflicted mental states. This is what we need to recognize as the real enemy. This considering ourselves this most superior, clinging to ourselves, to our own. This attachment, anger, hatred, this aversion, and ignorance. These are the real enemies, and as Gyalwa Gendundrup has said, recognize the real enemies. The real enemies are your afflicted mental states. So that's really true, right? It is these afflicted mental states that really are what work against us, that are enemies, these afflictive emotions. So what does it mean, afflictive emotion, afflicted mental states, or mental poisons, they're sometimes called? It's that which, when it arises in your mind, causes your mind to be disturbed. That which causes a disturbed mental state is what is considered these afflictive emotions, or in Tibetan Nyonmong.
Sem Made Gala, Lude Made Zuguas. Lusem Nika Made, Kanji, Nyomu Zugua. Tati Mone, Nyomonde, Wenzi Yabo, Tumne, Telan, Tala Tatuina, Nyomu Kimajuka, Kat Viajore, 까투바 마체바 무좀 제도 온 시기랬다. 디오니
카투
뇽몽 까투야.
카투
뭐야
어,
메아서
메버소
어 당부 무좀지 되니 뇽몽 제도 원진에 배 계zam니니 가서 투투 김 미주에게 답시지. 되니 갈래갈래 배 타신데 뇽몽 신데라 님부 톱는 요래. 뇽몽라 뇽부 톱는 요래. 아니 뇽포 톱단 덴바. 니바단 덴바. 디어레스. 딘딘 디어 인자 뇽몽 타신이 담인고 받아 땅고당 아니 덴바지나니 고파 세야돼. 다 뇽몽 수수기라 연댕인데 메아서달은 고파시고 말도 젠 고파싱데 땅본 맨데긴지는 고파시고 말이지. 딘두가라 그 디두아 말아서 미치기 수수 나와라 말해봤잖아. 아니 미치기 같이시나 렘서 샘데 마이키베스고도 가지. 신경모 현도 가지. 무슨 집이나? 어디 삼론 디기데 타바이나? 샘 로갸 쳔보. 아니 미치기 지람나 띵년 년시바지고 그래. 니소 뺨 민스베 야고도 왔어. 삼탄산. 그래서 뺨 민스베다 삼탄산 지라고 하래. 삼탄산 랍겨대 아니 랑게 되기 삼탄산 만으로지네 빼차선 담으라버지 삼탄고고 하래스.
And so if you think about this, you will be able to see this. You will be able to understand what is an afflictive emotion through looking at that which upsets the mind, which causes it to be disturbed. I think if you think about this, then you will be able to see it. So let's just think about being angry. And when you're infuriated, think about the mind. You know, there is discontent of the mind. The mind is very uncomfortable and disturbed, and not only that, there is a physical effect as well. And so when we look at it, we can, then see that, with these two, the physical and the mental, we can see the impact that different thoughts can create for us. And actually you can really recognize this and work with this. The first step is for one of the, is something to arises that causes a strong emotion in this way. Then you recognize it, that's the second step. And then the third step is that you actually apply like a remedy. You work to, you've recognized it, and now you work with something to suppress it or tame that afflictive emotion until you can work with it till you bring it to a complete cessation. So we have the truth of cessation within the Four Noble Truths. There is the truth of cessation. And the truth of cessation is nothing other than the cessation of the afflicted mental states. There's nothing else that is being brought to a cessation, but it's simply these very disturbing emotions that we've been discussing. And if we give an example, if you're speaking with someone and then, there's something, harsh or discordant that comes up within the conversation, you can see right away the afflicted state that will come to the person that hears these, unpleasant words. And of course we can see the difference when we're using pleasant words. And so this really all is pointing to us thinking about this, the way of our thinking, applying our thoughts to this. And so we should actually pay good attention to these thoughts and to our thinking.
어단 디조당 람림당 타보 타르겐다 테조강가 라치 군산람메 자룽다 코 융텐다 게차니 곰주 요레 코 갑도 따시바 주나 페펜도 요레스
뇨몽텐소라
마 라렌 수딘체 람림체 타보 타르겐제 군산람메 자룽기 다 상어 요래 도스 상어 융텐다 마다고나 상어 요래 따시바니 디 갑도 데라 디나 간데 시게도 tabatargena kadeshigdo lambrima kan karsa kunzala mejaluna kadesungdo teso seni suntamanda khabi gun kande ongwa jeda kabajindu otozo samtang tubeina tenis khabi onzu den to rangi samtang sala pento yongres.
And if you can, we can really benefit from the words of the great masters, from how they have laid out this very subject on how to work with the afflictive emotions. These are actually, you can find various expositions on this in the Lamrim Namdrol, in the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, in the words of my perfect teacher, in the works of the great masters. You can find what they have said about this, all of the different ways, all of the different remedies, all of the different explanations. And if you can read these different explanations, it's really beneficial to coming to an understanding. The Bodenso?
전법보다는 배작대도 깡간하니 납작균야데 미상보 시규상보소야 너무 라 견들다야 아니 잠바 제와 저바 디기티 뭐 콤펠도 땅이야 근데 세지 순거 알았어 답람
Because these great authors, the different great authors of these texts, have composed these texts with the very purpose of helping us to reduce our afflicted mental states, eliminate our afflicted mental states, and with advice for us to become good people, and also lessening our afflictive emotions or eliminating our afflictive emotions. And so these great masters and the various texts you can read are just a very rich path of methods for us to rely on. So what time is it? Is it 2:30?
오, 되니자죠. 다 상이 민님바 람도 кер야 되네. 제마주나스.
Sanyin. Yeshua Sanyin Sumbe.
말 제마.
Jema.
아까 제마들라. 민님바 람도 кер야 돼.
And so then the next, when we meet again, we will then talk about if somebody says unpleasant words to you. How do you work with it if somebody says unpleasant words?
그때 람ker주도 오네 야보 아래. 소소 가 단단 가서 지나 라진진 톡보여래. 준비가라 삭지잖아 내 경을 미지 말해가.
야, 담아대라.
미기지 라비나 내 경을 미지 말해.
예치 말해. 미직.
내 경구 말해 발냄상
어,
랭자고 원지래. 그 디소서 삼로당 미치기 람나데 시우 민노베지 레잉구도 삼로당도 갈라. 펜도 셈라 펜보 시부지 요한에 계지게 담바데 디소 펜 미시바 베자도로 양양도 삼로당에 펜 미시바 깨침버려 있으러와. 아니 갑자기 봐요. 디데 삼로당에 개비철로 유튜브이나 녜바 진주 녜바 사야메 단도 콜라 카드 짜 먹고 라정달라 카드 짜 먹고 이부터는 요레스.
So we have a really a strong and thick habituation with our focus on self, with our focus in this way that we've been talking, this self-centered focus. And if we can train in the way that we've been talking about, carrying these difficult situations that we meet with in life, how do we work with these in our Dharma practice? This can be of great benefit for us mentally. It actually can bring us a great ease mentally. And so if you can continue to study about this, these ways of taking adversity onto the path, read about it, think about it, study, read, and think again and again, then when these kinds of things occur, then rather than reacting, you will know what to do to bring about a reaction that is turned to virtue, that actually is a virtuous response with no harm done, and one will receive no harm as well. And then also, then you will learn how to work with them in a way that we're not lashing back, we're not reacting.
Yeah, then do I need to down at the mother? Jesus also.
Yeah. So if you have we have time, we don't have a lot of time, but maybe time for one or two questions.
Do you
have any?
Has there already been an announcement today of the public talk?
The Gyalwa Rinpoche ki sumchedi the Mimangi sumchede ki korla announcement kaptra tanda ani de korla sama hakogi yobe tanda announcement yobe.
That's in kere.
No, probably not. There was something mentioned. Yeah, but yesterday. Tanda patu digire, but. So most people already know, and from this point going forward, then it would be okay to say it's now okay.
Good. So in that case.
But most people maybe know. Geshe said.
Good. So in that case, we want to go ahead and announce this, if I may. So His Holiness the Dalai Lama will be in Indianapolis to give a public talk on June 25th. Tickets will be available probably before the end of the month, and we do plan to reserve a block of tickets for IBC. Still working out the details about how that's going to work. I do want to mention that Becky and I are both co-chairs of the event, so I want to thank Becky for all of her work also. So really that's it. Save the date, June 25th. It'll be in the afternoon, in the early afternoon. And you probably want to get there in the morning anyway to get through security.
라파다비아 치고 말했으러와. 라파다비아 치고 말했으러와.
가르치네.
여름 제 갈업 녀야 돼. 오늘 게 전부 잘 거래스. 여름 제 같이 나가서 맞춰서니 미 탑자지 나와지 세번이라니. 여름 제 휴선 숨겨대 semle pembu chegares. Masono ngone pembu yare. Yarum chikana na pembu duwa. Ani yarum chikan nawade kalom nawade kandisi chawa pangu yeme, niji kandisi kompel tangu yeme, jide kandisi tugu yeme.
Yeshe.
Niji.
Oh, ninji.
Ti kalom na yare. Ti indugala kangalone yarum chi sungkyode yabusinye. Ani yundu susu 전람나 따지 땅과 빼미스 개침버려. 수수 전람나 균도 따지 땅 마투이나 배cal 다와 로로로 셴데나 벤도요 말에. 인디가라 퇴파 삼바 온바 뒤지도 주어이나 야마탈지 뒤지도 제투이나 벤도요 알았어.
야마드라와. 데도.
퇴파 삼바 온바 순간 냠도 주고 말았어.
And so His Holiness is upcoming. So we've had good reason to have applause today. And so above and beyond, you should know that this event to hear His Holiness the Dalai Lama can bring great benefit. Even hearing His Holiness speak for a very short time can be of tremendous benefit, and he will speak, on the path and on compassion and on, our bringing things into our practical life, our day-to-day life and so on. This can actually really benefit our day-to-day life for days and months and years. It can have long-time benefit just going and hearing His Holiness the Dalai Lama, even for a short time. And most beneficial of all, so we have the activities of study, contemplation, and meditation. And if while His Holiness the Dalai Lama is speaking, if you can do these three as an inseparable union, as an inseparable activity, this is of the highest benefit. Take these three inseparably engaged while you listen to His Holiness. Daknang.
Board member, any Dr. Bikiri, because Legaching into the email down to Gala, can also Talanchi to winner, Sonam Saya, Suzulan, Sonam by Saya Pengiri, Nyamyunje Sagris, Chizola Tati, Chizola Jibjinani, Jibjiputu Chumachi Chagores, Roa, Indiana, Gorm, Indianapolis, Latanga, Chetozuna Loshit and Romare, Gormji, then they should together.
And for all of those who have been and are involved in this event, the volunteers, the board members, Doug and Becky, those that help with the emails and announcements and so on, your volunteer and your work is of great merit. It is a great meritorious act and service. Not only is this is your service of great benefit in terms of gaining merit, but you are also not only serving this Dharma Center and us, but you are serving His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the greater the greater audience, and this is a really a tremendous service and of great merit. 아니 디 세바 카레 카츠
다리 질당 앞에 다리 줍지 정아 주루스물라.
And also in the additionally, there is another teacher, the His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche is coming to Chicago. He will be coming on May 14th, 15th, and 16th.
당 가서 던제용 배경을 때 넘르고도 마다 때마다 and 포화 첨부돼 시부지게 첨부래. 포화 첨부는 것도 와.
And within this time, then His Holiness will be bestowing the Drikampoa, and the Drikampoa is tremendously important. 아니 드네 드리kum 아니 포아 chamo 아니 카레레사.
포화 세디갈라다 말아서 대 잠바 야보지 냠린체 두이나 아니 즉 치갈라갈라 포아견네 다진 케아다 아니 케와 잠보 케아다 텐데기 텐델디야기 왕지레스 우구구 잼네 고치 쓰리 고모치슬라 우구구 우구구 류르 뿌가 구여와 뿌가 구데 갸치 아니
올라서
지주기
라우
우고데 체거라
라우
지주 고체나고 간지 류메니 우뜨느냐 간송도 기거래 류뜨는데나 덴도 기거래 엔 상분이 지주니 또 배이나 아니 배 답이징을 개야 된대기 된들이야.
Ani dila.
카단나 구테반
Kadan-
때만 젠로 끼고 젠로
Lindro.
덴로
Dendro.
라다미
Oh. Oh.
포기 남바들이 우지 아 발절 나로베 중인 거예요. 우지 우고 예면 우지체 우지 설기 고모치스 우고구
Gogu.
우고구 예면
Gyabne.
우지체
Gogu chikche.
우지체
Mhm.
우지 설기 고모치 설기
La. Oh, la so.
상부 쓰고 왔다. 바꿔서
And so this great Trikumpoa, this is a practice, actually there will be the empowerment, but this is a practice where at the time of death, if one practices well, if one is well experienced and practices Poa well, at the time of death, then one puts this into practice and will be assured a good rebirth. A good rebirth. And so within the practice of Poa, then there are the 9 doors of the body. So the 9 doors refer to the 9 orifices of the body. And so it's said that at the time of death, if one performs this Poa, which means transference, if one performs this Poa and one's consciousness leaves through the lower orifices, then this results in birth in the lower realms. If one's consciousness, so one attempts to close off all of the orifices except for the crown orifice, which one attempts to transfer through the crown orifice. But if one's consciousness transfers through the lower, you go to it is the cause for rebirth in the lower realms. If through the nose or the mouth or the ears, then the result is to take rebirth in the gods and the demigods realm. And then if one is transferred through the crown opening, the chiwo ki po, you know,
답이징
and then one attains rebirth in the pure realms. And there is a saying, I believe it was from Naropa, there are the nine doors of the body, and the door at the crown is the golden door.
Will there be notification of this teaching in Chicago on the website, and also this one is that the other website for
때 슈구영의 생 donde dice cose.
So we need to make that. We need to do that, Geshe-la said.
Is there any other